Welcome to the Fam Jam team call. It is November 18th, and I'm so excited. Tonight we have our coach spotlight. I am so pumped to be bringing this back. We actually haven't had this in a couple of months, so I'm really excited just to hear from our coaches and what's been happening for them, what's been working for them, how they've managed to work through some of their struggles. So tonight we're going to hear from Carmelina, and we're also going to hear from Katie. So I'm so pumped for that. Before we flip it over though, I want to pass it over to you guys for any recognition. If you have recognition, you can just unmute yourself, or you can pop it in the chat if you can't unmute.
I can go really quick before my kids get loud. I'm like, they're quiet right now. So I just wanted to give a huge congratulations. My sister's not on this call, but she's on the, she's been on the download with building her business. And I know Iris, which is one of her downlines, she's in here. So I'm so happy to see her, and I want to just welcome her. And she became Emerald so quick. She's just learning everything on her own and doing her own research. And I'm just so incredibly proud of both of them because they're just doing amazing. So huge shout out to them. And then Liz is so close to Diamond, you guys. Oh my gosh, she's but I just want to give a huge shout out to Liz too, and my team who is always just showing up.
I love it. And welcome. And yes, you're right there, but we're not allowed to talk about it. Liz doesn't like when we talk about it, so we have to be quiet until it actually happens. Anyone else with recognition? Okay, I have some for Shorty. She's actually a guest on another team call right now, so she's popping over here in a second. But she asked if I could shout out Carmelina just for rocking her workouts, especially with a broken thumb, which I had no idea. That's craziness. And also saying yes to speak on this call without hesitation and really just stepping your game up with all of your invites this week. So she wanted to shout you out for that. She also wanted to shout out Emily, and just realizing, she said that you had a switch that just kind of went off this week, and realizing just kind of stepping things up. You've really changed your approach, and obviously it's making a massive difference in some of the success that you're seeing in your business and the incredible amount of people that you have coming to the coach opportunity call this week. So she just wanted to say massive shout out to you for that. She's really proud of you guys and her whole Fit Life team as usual. Okay, I wanted to give a shout out to Nick. Nick actually sold his first challenge pack, so massive congrats to you, Nick. Also wanted to, of course, just recognize and congratulate Katie for speaking on her first team call. That's absolutely incredible. And saying yes, even though you probably want to throw up everywhere right now. Also want to give a massive shout out to Becca and her whole team. They have been working so tightly, and they have just been against all odds right now, really just pushing towards their team goal of Diamond. And there's a couple of coaches on her team working towards Emerald, and they're really just, they're asking the questions, they're doing the work, and they're showing up. And I'm just so proud of you and your team and the way that you've been leading them. It's been incredible to watch. So massive shout out to you. And yeah, Shorty, I just shouted out all your people. You just came in. I totally could have done mine first, but that's okay. Everyone is in there. Are you good?
No.
For recognition?
Not good.
Are you good? He's like, no, I'm not. He's trying to do the trait. That was all we had though on yours, was Nick? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, anyone else? We good? I don't want to leave anyone out. Okay, perfect. Last but not least, and then I'm going to kick this over. I want to just give a huge shout out to everyone in the Go the Distance chat, and the Go the Distance group. I am just so stinking proud of all of you stepping outside of your comfort zone. The chat is on fire. Yeah, just seeing you guys help level each other up, and not in a, it just feels so good. The energy in there, it's not in a competitive way. It's not in a comparison way. It really just is hey, this is where I'm at. Hey, this is where I'm at. I'm struggling here today. What can I do tomorrow? And I'm really, really excited to see the momentum that comes from this group, from this 2-week hyper focus that we're going to have in this space. I'm so proud of you guys. So On top of that, last announcement, tomorrow is the coach opportunity call at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's still lots of time to invite to that. There's lots of time. We'll have the recording of that, so you can continue to invite to the coaching opportunity, like right through the weekend even. And you can always just say like, hey, here's the recording of the call that we just had. Would love for you to come check it out. So yeah, if you guys have questions on that, or if you want to be added into that and you feel like maybe you missed the boat, you have not missed the boat, you can totally jump in there. If you want to jump in there at any point in time, just shoot me a message and I'll make sure that I get you in there. Okay, enough of me talking. I am so excited to pop this over to Carmelina and Katie. We were chatting a little bit before this, and I'm actually just gonna kind of guide it a little bit of an like interview style with the two of them. I asked both of them to speak because they both are like, they both bring very different things to their businesses, and they definitely both run their businesses very differently using the same business activity tracker. But I think I've just seen so much growth happening for both of them. And I know, like, I reached out into the Diamond chat and I was like, okay, we need some coaches, like who should speak? And right away, like everyone agreed, the two of you definitely were like top of the list. Let's have them speak on the call. Let's hear from them. So I'm just really proud of both of you for saying yes. Always say yes and then figure it out later, always. But I'm really excited just to hear from you guys. So I would love to just kind of pop it over to Carmelina first. And I'd love if you can just start with like, give us a down low of like who you actually are, because there's a lot of people on this team that don't know a lot about you. So give us like a quick little background, where you come from, what you're all about.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to be speaking on this call because every week I sit here and listen to all of you and you inspire me so much. So I'm so happy to be speaking tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carmelina. I feel like I know you guys all personally just from like your posts and your stories. I feel like we're all besties, so this is so cool. So I am so many things, but my favorite job is mom of my two beautiful kids. I'm a single mom. I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son and a crazy dog, crazy puppy named Zorro. He's our little protector. I am a teacher by day. I am a Reiki practitioner by weekend, and now I'm a coach. So those are kind of the three biggest things I have going on in my life right now, and they bring me so much joy.
And I didn't ask you this question ahead of time, but I'm gonna say, what? Katie's like, please don't bring questions on me, Shalane. No, this is an easy one though. Like, what made you decide to coach? You're busy, you have a lot going on. You know, what was the deciding factor for you to actually say yes?
To be honest with you, it was just, you know, it started off as something fun to do, like something like to learn something new. I was off for the summer. COVID was crazy for me and the kids. They were with me for 5 months straight, and they were going to be going back to their dads for visits. And I knew that was going to be really hard for me, like being spoiled, having them there 24/7. So that would be a good opportunity to keep busy and to keep, you know, learning new things. Like I love learning new things. And Tara, as my coach, like changed me so much that I was like, well, maybe I could do this too. Like she, you know, planted this little seed, and I was like, nah, no. And then, and like, she let that sit with me for a bit, but you know, then she did what she normally does, and like she like talked about it a little bit more, and then like it was like right here in my brain, and I was like, crap, I know what this means. I know I'm supposed to do this. Like I couldn't stop thinking about it. So it was supposed to be just for fun, and then in a couple of weeks I hit emeralds, and then I started to see the potential that I could have in this business. And so I decided to go for it, and everything that I was doing for myself, like it took me to a really dark place in my life, and I really wanted to do the same for other people.
That's so powerful. And I love that. And I can, you can already tell by the way that you're talking just how much that you care for other people and you want to be able to give back. So I think that, I mean, obviously Shorty saw something in you that we can all clearly see right now, which is hard to see in ourselves. But, I think in the beginning of becoming a coach, you really struggled with the opinion of other people. And like we all do, it is no surprise. We all deal with that struggle. But you've really been working through like how to get past that. And what's one or two things really that you did to help you kind of get past the opinions of other people so that you can show up online and you can build this business?
Well, I'll paint a little picture for you first of like just kind of where I was when I started coaching. And because this was like a huge obstacle for me. Like, I know it's big for everybody, and I'm not saying that it was worse for me, but I kind of feel like it was because I had been in hiding for like 3 years of my life, pretty much. Like, my marriage broke down. It was like a horrible relationship. I was married to a narcissist, and the last 2 years of my marriage were hell, but trying to break free of this man was an even bigger hell. And he put me and the kids through like the worst 2 years of our life. And what better way to try to break someone down, a mom down, than using the kids? So it was a really big struggle for me. And so I hid for those 2 years of my life. Like, I wouldn't go into grocery stores. I didn't go to work. So when I say like having to let go of the opinions of others and overcome this, it was a huge, huge obstacle for me. So I really had to, when I decided I was going to do coaching, this coaching thing, as I called it, and really commit to it, I knew that this was something I really had to dig deep and figure out how I was going to overcome this. And I really had to get comfortable with who I was in that very moment that I made that decision, and dig deep and find the confidence to feel good about who I am, even though things maybe didn't work out as I thought, or where I would be. Like, during COVID, I celebrated my 40th birthday, and I really had to, just evaluate my life and where I wanted it to go. And it was okay that things didn't work out the way that they did. In fact, things are way better now than they ever would have been. So, I had to get really comfortable with myself, and I had to do that by being uncomfortable with myself. So it was one day after I got off a call with, I can't call her Shorty. It's so weird. I don't know her as Shorty. But I got off a call with Shorty, and, she kind of challenged me to overcome this. And I sat there and I started to make a list of what I feared the most about what people would say to me or about me. And I kind of sat there for 2 hours and I picked myself apart. I listed every single thing that I thought a person could say about me, whether it was because I was divorced, or because I was a single mom, or because I was in an abusive relationship, or because all these rumors were flying around about everything that had gone on, whether it was because about my weight and not feeling confident that I could be in a business like this. I wrote it all down on a piece of paper, like a giant list. And I still have it. It's all here. And I sat with it, feeling uncomfortable, feeling very vulnerable, feeling very hurt that these are the things that I thought about myself. But in doing this, I became really comfortable with who I am. And I started to realize, you know what, even though these are some of the things that I fear people might say about me, then I started to flip it and I realized these are all the other things that they could say about me. And then I started to make a positive list that kind of counteracted all of these opinions that I thought people could have of me. And so I thought one day I would kind of burn this or do some sort of full moon ritual where I let it go. But this list, these are my posts. These are my stories. This is what I use to show up as my most authentic self. And yeah, this is what I did to overcome, because there's nothing that anyone can say about me that I don't already know about myself. So, and I have full confidence in who I am right now. And so like, yeah, come at me and I'll tell you, yeah, I am like that. And this is why. So it's like it brought out this fighter in me, you know, and it was like a really powerful exercise. I didn't know if I wanted to cry or laugh. And I think at one point I was like crying and laughing at the same time, but there was something very healing about it. It brought like a sense of peace to me, and it helped me take my power back, because I have like a crazy ex-husband who will not stop. And so if I let him, he will try to take me down, and I won't let that happen again. I don't want to go to that dark place. So I'm just embracing who I am and showing up as the best person I can be. And that's when I started to see that I was relatable to people. And, you know, and for maybe every 1 or 2 comments that someone said that was negative, I got 20 that were inspiring and motivating. And I realized like I really am helping people. So that just made me want to keep going.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I have to reiterate what you said. And there's like so many quotes. Okay. We need to like take this, and you need all the quotes for your Instagram feed, first of all. But you said there's nothing anyone can say that I don't already know about myself. Those, like that
That's
sentence, you said that, and Jared and I both just went, oh, like it's so true. How true is that? And we're just afraid to let people know of what we already know inside, right? It really is just about being afraid that people are going to shine a light on that little bit of us that maybe we feel a bit of shame about, or a little guilt, or a little embarrassed. When once you start talking about it, we're all like, we all have a piece of that. We all have that. And that was like, literally gave me chills from like head to toe. I loved everything that you said, because I feel like, one, I mean, we can really see your soul, but two, you gave like such tangible tips. If you have not done an exercise like that, like to anybody else on this call, I highly recommend you go do that exercise. And I mean, I'll speak for you, but I'm sure Carmelina wouldn't mind if you reached out just to be like, hey, yeah, and like, hey, how did this work? Or what exactly am I supposed to do here? But I think that it's so powerful. And the fact that you kept it, and that now those are your posts and you're pulling from that. I mean, maybe one day you'll get through all of it and you'll have these amazing posts from all of it, and then you can burn it. You can do your whole ritual thing at that point, which also is super powerful. But I really just love that you owned it. You owned it. That's hard to do. And I think I speak for everyone when we just say we're so happy that you owned it, and that you're sitting here today speaking to all of us, because you're such an inspiration to our team, and to help our team be able to come out of their shell too, because we all can come out of our shell a little bit more. So I love that. Thanks, Carmelina. I'm going to pass it over to Katie. Okay, Katie. I literally, you guys, Katie and I talked, I don't even know for how long before she actually decided to coach. And I'm just so.
At least a year.
I think it was longer than that, actually.
I think it was. It definitely was longer than that.
We might have hopped on a call a year ago.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
at least a year, yeah.
And we're so grateful that you guys, took your time in deciding when to coach, or when coaching was right for you. And I think sometimes we want to rush the process. And I know I like throughout it, I was like, she would just like nail this. And I know I wanted to rush the process a little bit, but I'm so freaking glad that we didn't, because look at you guys sitting here now, and really working the business together. But Katie, I want to pass this over to you, because you are such a busy mama. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit about who you are, what you do in your day-to-day life, kind of what do things look like for you guys right now?
I don't know how I follow Carmelina, because that was like phenomenal. So I will try my best. So those who don't know me, Brian and I sort of team together. I'm a mom of 2, and I'm also a nurse that I work full time. So yeah, Shalene and well, actually it was Brian's idea first to go into this whole coaching thing. And I was like, no, I don't have time. I don't want to do it. I don't like, it's not for me. And then I kept in the back of my head, we did a call with Jared and Shalene, and I was like, okay, well, maybe, no, I'm still not ready. And then keep fast forward to, back in August where, it always was in the back of my mind, where we finally said yes. And it's kind of nice because I can sort of base my weight loss journey off of my experiences as well. Like back in a few years ago, I was overweight, I wasn't happy with my body, Brian and I did it together where we were like, nope, this is the time. And we sort of lost our weight. And, so I know I can relate to people that way. So this business has definitely brought me out of my shell, and trying to figure out how to manage life and kids and work and, the busyness of being a mom. Yeah.
I love that. And I think that it's like, you're not alone, right? Like there's a lot of people on the team who are working full-time jobs. And I mean, right now in this season, you went all in on coaching the year of COVID. Like you're a nurse and things are insane for you, like frontline worker. And this is the time that you decide you're like, yep, this is it. This is when we're going for it.
Go big or go home. Right?
Right. And that for me was, it really just showed me though too, that like, much like Carmelina, much like everyone else on this team, like you're such a giver and you really truly just want to help other people. And I think it almost came at the point in your life where it was like, a lot of us felt very helpless in the world that we were in. And it almost leveled you up to the point where you were like, how can I give back more? Like at this moment, how can I give back more? And it almost became about more than just you and Brian and the kids. And, I saw the bigger picture and I could see you seeing that bigger picture. So it was really cool to kind of watch that transformation. But speaking of being insanely busy, and that literally was her excuse every single time we talked, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy.
It's so true.
You did start with the workouts and everything first though. So she did jump in our challenge group first and then jumped in with coaching. And I also have to say that you guys found the one and only YouTube video that Jared and I had posted. Right?
Yeah,
do you remember that?
That's right.
It was the only YouTube video that we had ever posted. And they were like, oh, we saw your YouTube video about coaching. We were like, what YouTube video? I don't even know what you're talking about. So it just goes to show.
I think I went down like a Transform 20 rabbit hole. I saw it somewhere.
It just goes to show, like, just get it out there, right? Like, just put it up, put yourself out there, because you never know where people are going to find the information once it gets online. But speaking of being like so insanely busy, being a nurse, mom of two, young kids, having a new puppy, how do you find the time for this? I can see Rita sitting down there.
Yeah.
How do you find time for this? Like, what does a day look like for you in order to actually get the business activity tracker done?
So for me, I don't schedule time to work on the business, I'll be honest. Where I know like everyone sort of says, let's do your power hour, let's do, schedule out a time of your day. I don't have that opportunity. During the day, I'm constantly with patients, in and out. Flu shot season has been honestly a nightmare. Literally stabbing everybody every 5 minutes. So that has sort of been super crazy. I find for me what works best is if we wake up really early to work out. If I didn't work out in the morning, I wouldn't do it because I'd be exhausted by the end of the day. So, we get our workout in. I tend to do a lot of my posts and stories and stuff more after our workout, like I think it was Danielle that mentioned yesterday that, or maybe it was Monday, whatever day it was, that said like, that's when you feel the most strong and most powerful. And it's true. You have this crazy, workout high or whatever they call it. And I found like that has totally pushed me to maybe take that half an hour to just strictly kind of keep going with stories or figure out what I want to write for the day and kind of do that. And in the evenings too, I try my best, in between dinner and, bedtime and after bedtime and all of that. A huge thing for me, believe it or not, has been the time where I'm waiting in between to go into work. So if I have 5 minutes in the car, I literally will throw on my phone and do a story. I find that that's been super helpful. And with our challenge group, I at least schedule all my posts for almost a week in advance, which is super helpful. I try to check in at least 3 times a day and kind of go that way. Brian and I have a really good communication where if I'm like, hey, I'm going to sell a challenge pack, leave me alone for 10 minutes. I got this, so he'll deal with the kids and he'll be like, did you sell it? And I'm like, shit, no, or yes, I did. And, we're celebrate. So, I just find the time when I can, would I love to be able to say I sit down for an hour? No, I can't. My kids are crazy and they're constantly in our faces, with lunches and dinner and all that stuff. But I just make it work, and like you said, this is the busiest time for us and here I am killing it. So I'm proud that I'm able to do it, and like teamwork, right? So it's been fun.
I love that. And I love that you don't put the pressure on yourself to have to sit down to work the business for a certain number of hours a day. You literally just find the time, you find the pockets and you make it work. And something that I think goes unrecognized way too often, and something that you might not even realize that this is why you can get so much done, but you touched on communication and being able to communicate with each other. And Brian's working the business. Jer works the business. So I think they get it. There are spouses though that are not working the business. And I want to just highlight though, that when your spouse or significant other is helping out around the house or making dinner because you're working or taking the kids to the park because you're getting those messages, you're back into your DMs or you're getting a post up or they're helping you take photos or they're, anything like that, that is helping. And I think oftentimes that goes unrecognized and we don't give enough credit where credit is due because that is massive. I know for both of us, we do it all the time where we're like, okay, I need you to just get the kids out of here for I can get so much more done in a half an hour if I just have peace and quiet than if we were all trying to do this together for the next 3 hours. So I love that you said that. And in terms of communication, I know I didn't ask you this beforehand, but what does that kind of look like for you guys? Is it spur of the moment? Do you kind of plan out your week? Do you communicate what your schedules look like? What happens for you guys?
She generally, Katie with the post, she has the routine down and I kind of know it now. But I mean, at first it's like anything else, I've even been guilty of looking at her and being like, oh, she's on her phone again. But then it's like, well, wait a minute, she's working the business. But then, she's realized
making my money.
I gotta kind of say what I'm doing, right? So that otherwise you're just sitting watching her on her phone or me on my phone, right? So it's just about talking about it. I've got to do this. I need 20 minutes, right? Give a timeline versus just I'm working right now kind of thing, right? Because then where's the end? That's a big.
Yeah, we don't really have, like I said, we don't really have set times on when it's more spur of the moment. And that's sort of the way we are, except for choosing to be a coach. That was not spur of the moment. But we're just sort of, and even with the kids in our life, we're just, okay, yeah, let's go here today. Okay, nope, let's do this today. Or so that's the same pre-COVID, yeah. But basically that's the way we sort of do things. If someone hits me up with a DM about wanting more information, I'm like, okay, deal with the kids for, 5-10 minutes, let me do this. And it's been working. We've been sort of managing that. And yeah, we're definitely spur of the moment.
I love that. And I think oftentimes you become spur of the moment when you have children. You may not have been beforehand, but there's times where you got to roll with it, right? So I love that. And I love that you can be so honest, even Brian, in saying oh, she's on her phone again. What is she doing? Because that is a real thought for a lot of us. Jer and I still do that.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny, we both said it at the same time.
Yeah.
We definitely still have that where we're like, are you scrolling? Are you wasting time? Or are you actually working? Like, what are you doing right now? Are
She
you
calls
being
me out on my
productive?
shit all the time.
Stop scrolling.
All the time.
But it's important,
What
right?
housewives do.
Her signature move is if I had my phone in hand, she'd just come like this and like knock my phone out of my hand.
We're gonna do a reel about it. It's gonna
Yeah.
be great. But communication's everything. Like, I totally think that that is a big part of it. And I love that you're just kind of like go with the flow and you don't put that pressure on yourself to like have to figure it out or have to have a certain number of hours in the day to get it done. I think for me, I would love to know a little bit more from you. Like, what do you feel like has been the most rewarding since you've started coaching? What's been the most rewarding part of coaching for you guys?
100%, definitely hearing our clients and our little bit of coaches that we have basically say how well they're doing. So, I've done my sort of weight loss journey. I'm more now focusing on my mind and how my confidence is growing. In being a business person too. Like, I never ever would have thought I'd be running my own business. So my confidence just on that has been huge. But hearing everyone else succeed in our group, that is by far the best. And I'm sure everyone else would agree too, that, hearing other people's successes is sort of
What drives you?
like I would do it for free because I just love hearing, oh, I lost like 5 pounds, you've inspired me, or you're, this diet, or not diet plan, I guess, like this recipe was the best, keep, showing up and all that. So I feel like that part has been the best part for me. And honestly, like, I have totally come out of my shell. Brian 100% has come out of his shell. I kind of make him do that. I remember saying, like, when Brian and I first started coaching, or at least for me, I was like, I'm not posting videos every day. I'm not posting myself working out. And here I come out as, Backstreet Boys, 80s. What else was I dressed as recently? Bull rat, for God's sakes. I mean, to me, like, we're just having fun with it. And that's just our personalities. Like, back in high school, I was the shy reserve girl. Now I'm like the crazy party girl, which
I think that's part of what kind of makes the business not necessarily a business, right? You can have fun with it. It's not something that has to be serious. It's something that
you
can
make
be fun.
it, right? Like, if you want people, I feel like if I was looking at someone to be my coach, like, obviously Shalene and Jared, like, you guys are fun, and that's what we wanted to portray too. We want to be that fun, crazy couple that you never know what's coming up
We
next.
are that fun, crazy couple. We don't portray it.
Yeah, we are.
You totally are. I cannot picture you guys not like this at all. I think you guys have so much personality, and I'll say, like, I think that's why you've seen so much success to date, because you do bring fun to it. It's not always serious. You do have those serious moments and those serious talks and those heart to hearts. And I'll give you kudos. I've seen you like cry on your stories. Like, that's hard. That is really hard to show up and to show that raw of an emotion on your stories even. And just to see the growth that's happened, you're showing everyone who you are. You're being so authentic to your true selves. And you guys are having so much fun along the way. And
So much fun.
We need another theme day for sure.
We do.
We do. We totally need to do this because Jared needs to step up this game. Okay, I want to pop this over to everyone else though. Do you guys have questions for Carmelina or Katie, how they're working the business, anything that they said tonight? If you want to pick their brains on it, you can unmute yourself. We can have this a little bit more casual. Or you can go ahead and pop it in the chat and I will ask it.
I want to ask one really quick. How much time do you guys think, being busy mamas, do you spend all together? Because I think a lot of people think that you spend all day for some of us who are home. How much, like personally, how much, like if you were to condense the time, how much time do you think together that you guys spend?
Like on the business? Carmelina?
It's a good question.
I try to do an hour every day, but it's wherever I can find the time. Like, I try to do it before work, but sometimes my morning escapes me, and like my priority in the morning is my workout, because if I don't do that, it's not happening after work, and we don't want that to happen, because then my kids are dealing with a very cranky mama. And you know, now it's like, instead of like sitting and chatting with the other teachers, I'm thinking of posts for the next day, or working on things, recess breaks, any chance I get, so that you know, it doesn't have to become like a big hour-long thing. Because when I think of it like of an hour in my day, like it stresses me out, because I'm like, where am I going to find an hour to do this? So I think of it as like little pockets of time, you know, and then that makes it more manageable, because I tend to overwhelm myself for no reason at all. So.
And it's funny, even just hearing you say that, like, I bet you probably spend more than an hour of all those little pockets of time, like built up over the course of the day. It's probably longer than if you were to just like sit down for an actual hour. Do you know what I mean? But I like that you're doing what kind of works for you.
Yeah, it does take a little longer, because I'm like, I'm kind of distracted. Like if it's recess and like I have to, like, I'm at school, so where if I'm at home and it's quiet, I could probably do it in an hour, but when I'm doing it throughout the day, it probably does add up to more than an hour, just because of the distraction factor. But
yeah, I like that you just make it work though. Katie, what about you?
I like sort of agree. I think I'd be like the same with Carmelina. If I told myself I have to give an hour a day, I would probably not do it. I like, same with you. I get very anxious for me, if I know that I haven't had my week prepared, like I try to get at least all my posts for the week, at least the daily check-ins for the week for our group on Sundays. That's like, and if I don't have it, I'm already anxious because I didn't post them. So I would say at least in a day, probably an hour to 2 hours. If I actually took the 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 30 minutes here, would
I mean,
probably
you can do
be.
stuff between patients.
Yeah, like if I
you
have
5 minutes.
exactly, if I have a few minutes between patients, I'll start writing my post on my phone, and then if a patient comes in, I put it away. So it's sort of, I just find the time, I guess.
I love that. Does anybody else have any other questions for these two incredible women?
I have a question, and they can both answer it. I always think this is really interesting, but what is your biggest misconception now that you're a coach and you guys were both clear, like I think challengers first, from what I understand from the story. So what is your biggest misconception about being a coach, or the one thing that was like holding you back that you now just are like, I can't take that excuse from anybody?
I love this question. Carmelina, you can go ahead.
I was always making excuses, so I'm done with, like, I didn't think they were excuses. When I look back now, like they were kind of excuses, like just it's hard to do all of this. That's what I thought. But what I love about this is that, like, these are things that I'm already doing in my life. So, and I remember Shorty saying this, it's like, because I'm like, you must spend hours doing these posts and making this and doing this. Like, I don't have time for that. And she's like, I'm already doing it. So what's the difference if I throw my phone on and I record a little video while I'm making my pre and post workout? Like, so I thought this took like 10 hours. Is like, from the outside, it looked like it took like a very long time. And now I can see that once you get better at it and you become more comfortable with yourself, you can actually do it wherever you have time. And it's a part of your life. So it's so easy to share because you're already doing it and you love it. So I thought my biggest misconception was like, this must take hours. And yeah, you do have to commit to it. And some days it's longer than others. But once you make it a part of your life and it's a priority, it's very easy to share it with everyone else.
I love that. What about you, Katie?
For me, I would have to say thinking I had to be perfect at everything. I'm a perfectionist. I have to have everything in order. So for me, thinking that every post had to be at a specific time, every picture had to be perfect, every story had to be perfect, my workouts had to be perfect, which I wasn't allowed to modify, little things that I thought I had to be perfect, when realizing that people don't want to see perfect. They want to see you, and they want to know that they can relate to you. So I would say that that would be my biggest misconception, is thinking I had to know everything, which you don't. You guys are all there to back us all up, and you learn as you go. Like I was when I first started, I was like, I'm doing a free group. This is how I'm going to do it. And, did I know what the hell I was doing? Hell no. But that is probably the biggest misconception that I had.
I love that. And I think that they're both very common. And it's so good to be able to hear that, even just from people on our team, and take that for yourselves, right? Take that and go share that on your stories. I think it's almost, for me, it's where I'm stay-at-home mom now that I'm virtually schooling, I have this as like my busy thing. But last year, when the kids were in school for 6 hours, everyone just assumed they had to have 6 hours to work the business, because that's when I was working, right? But I also was grocery shopping, and I also was doing other things. And I also I had all these other things that I was doing. But it's easy to share what you're doing in the business. It becomes hard, or you almost forget to share life in between. And life is where people start to relate and start to go, right, I do that too. Right, there's still a pile of laundry sitting on my floor too, which Brian is freaking out about from my story the other day.
It's still there.
Well, it's folded. It's not put away.
Oh, okay.
We're the type of people that it has to be washed, dried, folded, and put away all in the same day. Like I have anxiety if it's not
We
done.
don't have 3 kids though either.
No.
Things had to get let go of.
And piled until
The pile's gone because
normally
they used
I
it for
fold
the
it.
next week, or he folded it. But it's true, right? It's like you got to find a time. And what are the things that you're gonna, for me, that was one of the things that I sort of had to let go of too when I started coaching, was having my house being perfectly clean all of the time, because it used to be. And one day we'll get back there. Does anybody else have any other questions though? Yeah, sure. I see so many similarities, by the way.
Comment on the time frame thing. I used to just get nothing done because it was like, who cares if I don't put away laundry? Like no one's coming over. I'm not leaving the house. Like it could go for 2 weeks and no one would notice. But now that I have to work my business and I have to get these things done, like, cause that's the way I am. I'm like, I got to check off that SC, right? I can't sleep if I don't do that. That'll annoy me. So now that I have to do those things, it's pushing me to like be better at laundry. Like it's pushing me to like get those tasks done so much quicker, because I know I have this other stuff I want to do after.
It's actually pushed me to ask for help. I used to have to put the kids' laundry away perfectly. I used to have the rooms had to be a certain way. The bathroom had to be cleaned a certain way. Like we had all these things. And it's really helped me, one, to just give that responsibility to my kids, and I'm spinning this and like, how can I save time throughout my day to be able to do all the things that we want and still have family time, run the business, be able to have time for our marriage, be able to have that downtime, because we can't just be like on all cylinders firing all the time, or we're just going to come into complete exhaustion and burnout. We need to have those seasons where it goes up and down. And for me, it definitely has really helped me to be able to just like pass off that responsibility, or even just to ask for the help when I need it. Like right now, Jared's going to help the kids maybe. Yeah. Any other questions, you guys? I love all this conversation. This is so incredible. Okay. I want to say a big thank you to both of you ladies. I think that there's some really tangible tips from both of you. You guys shout them out, show them some love. And, these are the moments that really help you to see how far you've come when you're able to speak on a call like this, or you're able to lean in on a coach opportunity call or anything like that. And we're going to lean on you guys even more over the next little while to help you develop the skills that you need, or to shine a light on the skills you already have, in order to be able to get to that next level of whatever that is for you, right? We all have different goals. We all have different timeframes that we've set those goals in. And I think that anytime you get an opportunity to be able to speak, I mean, of course it's a yes, like level up, grow into this business and just lean into the scary things, but also have a moment of reflection. And I hope both you ladies can kind of have a bit of a moment of reflection and celebration for an incredible call, and also just how far both of you have come on your journey and the inspiration that you are to our entire team, right? You have your own audience that's watching as well, but like right here within our entire team, I just find both of you such an inspiration. So massive thank you, you guys. And I will post the recording as soon as I get it posted to YouTube. Another YouTube video.
But
Bye, you guys.
before
Oh,
we go, now that
wait.
I'm actually on the call and focused, I did want to shout out two people. I wanted to shout out Danielle for going team builder, which is huge. And I also wanted to shout out Steph, because I did go back and watch your stories today, and you were actually real and raw and vulnerable, and that is not easy to do. So I wanted to shout you out. I know I sent you a personal message, but congrats, because that's not easy to do.
Yay.
Thanks.
That's so good. I love it. Okay. I think we're good. I will post the recording as soon as we have it. Thank you guys. Thank you again to you ladies. You guys are absolute rock stars. Love you guys. Bye.